Okay, so we'll get started. I see we have a quorum, so that's good. So this is the Wednesday, March 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Franklin Township Planning Board. We're still operating under the declaration of state and local emergency due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And it has been determined that the public's attendance at meetings at the planning board would pose a risk to their health, safety, and welfare. Therefore, this meeting has been relocated from the council chambers at the municipal building to a virtual meeting format and is being conducted in accordance with virtual remote telecommunications in conformance with the directives of the state of New Jersey. The relocation of this meeting of the planning board was posted in the township's official newspaper, the Courier News, on the township website, and within the municipal building. This notice detailed the following means of public participation in this remote meeting, which is a link to the virtual meeting via WebEx and a call-in number for those without internet access. Public inspection of application materials was made available via the township website and or in the planning and zoning department in the municipal building. Formal action may be taken at this virtual meeting. As a reminder to board members, please mute yourselves unless you wish to speak or to provide a vote, and please withhold questions until all of the applicants' witnesses have finished presenting, at which time I'll ask the board for their comments. Instructions for public input are as follows. For those who are watching via WebEx who wish to speak, there are two options. You can press the raise hand button. To use this feature, click on the participants icon in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, which will open a new participants window on the right side of your screen. In the lower right-hand corner of that window will be a hand icon, and click on the hand icon to raise your hand. For those members of the public that are listening via the call-in number who wish to speak, please press *3. At the appropriate time in the meeting, township staff will announce your name, unmute you, and you will have an opportunity to provide comment. And please provide your name and address. If providing a statement, the board attorney will swear you in. After speaking, if you're on the WebEx, go back and press the lower hand button so we know that you do not want to speak again. And if calling in, please press *3 again. So, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty
and justice for all.
Okay, so
Councilman Abarasan. Oh wait, Barasan. No, not here. Carl Hauk.
Here.
Mahir Rafiq.
Here.
Ted Chase. Jennifer Ragnow. Jennifer Ragnow.
Sorry, let me unmute her.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. I'm here.
Mustafa Mansray. I don't see him. Charles Brown.
Here.
Robert Thomas.
Here.
Carol Schmidt asked to be excused. Sammy Shaban.
Here.
And Chairman Orsini.
here. So before we begin the meeting, I just want to make an announcement that if you are here for the Harbor Group hearing, that's PLN 21-00020, that is carried to March 16th, 2022, and no further notification is needed.
Mike, if you could give me 1 second. Mark, if you can make me presenter so I can read the document for that. Okay, again, anybody listening for the Harbor Group, PLN 21-00020, it has been moved to a virtual hearing on March 16th at 7:30 through the Township's WebEx device. There will be no further notification needed. For those wishing to participate in the hearing via virtual WebEx meeting, the event address for attendees will be posted on the Township's website at https://www.franklintwpnj.org home/components/calendar/event/event/2232. For those wishing to listen via telephone, the call-in number is 1-408-418-9388. And the access code for this meeting is 2349-858-8100. Anybody that needs more information, if you didn't get all of that, you can reach me at 732-873-2500. My extension is 6215. Okay, Mike.
Thanks, Christine. Just saw an email from Councilman Ambrosen saying that has some error with his email and is unable to join. So
Okay.
I know he was able to join the last time, so I know it's not, that he doesn't have WebEx or anything like that. So we'll just excuse him for today.
I'll just mark him as excused, yes.
Okay, so before we get going into the main meeting, anybody who wasn't sworn in the last time needs to be sworn in now in order to participate in anything further. So why don't we get that out of the way? I know it's not on the agenda, but it's kind of important.
I think it was Carl, Bob Thomas. Maher, was it Maher?
I don't think so. I don't recollect.
I know it was
We've
Bob
only had one
Thomas.
meeting this year, so it might be hard to recollect actually.
No,
But
I know it's Bob Thomas and Carl. Those two I'm very sure of. If it's,
I was sworn in last time.
oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah.
Sammy or Jennifer, did either of you, neither of you signed any sheets, so. Oh,
No.
it's Carol.
Yeah, I think it's because my term is still going on. I think it was the year before that I signed it, so I think my term is still valid, so.
Yeah. It's Carol that I'm thinking of. All right, Bob, I think you're the only one that needs to be sworn in. So Jim, if you're there, if you could swear Bob Thomas in, please.
I will. Bob, raise your right hand, please. I,
Here.
Robert Thomas,
I, Robert Thomas,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States
of the United States
and this state,
and this state.
and that I will faithfully
I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of Planning Board member
of the office of Planning Board member
of the Township of Franklin.
of the Township of Franklin.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Jim. Congratulations, Bob. Couple more quick housekeeping announcements. For the Minor Subdivision Committee, I've been informed I need to reappoint folks, and so the people who served on that before were Bob Thomas and Meher Rafiq. Yeah, I'd like to ask if both of you are amenable to doing it again. Obviously, this doesn't meet very often. If we get one or two of these a year, it's a big year. So
Yeah, I
If you're
don't mind.
That's
Thanks,
fine,
Mayor.
thank you.
Do you
okay,
need my
great.
video on?
I'm sorry, Meher.
Do you need the video on? Because I'm not.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. If you don't have video capabilities, as long as we can hear you, just like Jim, we can definitely just go with that. And I also wanted to let everyone know, and I've conveyed our condolences to Carol Schmidt. Her father passed away this morning, and she obviously cannot attend the meeting, so I let her know that she shouldn't even think about the meeting, and that we all extend our sympathies to her and her family. Hopefully we'll see her on the 16th. So with that, we'll tackle the minutes. The first one is from December 15th, 2022. And the people who can't vote on those minutes are Carl and Sammy. Everyone else can. And so I'll make a motion to approve those.
Move to approve.
Maher Rafiq,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Charles Brown,
Yes.
did you say Robert Thomas can't do it?
Only Carl and Sammy.
It's Carl and Sandy, okay. Sammy, Robert Thomas
Yes.
and Chairman Orsini.
Yes.
Okay.
And now the minutes for the special meeting, which I don't have in my packet, so I don't know who can't vote on that, but I will. I know what they were, so I'll make a motion to approve them. And Christine, you can help me on who can vote.
I don't see them in my packet either, so I'll just bring them the next time. I'll put a cross through it.
Yeah,
I'm not
why don't
sure.
we, since we
Yeah.
don't have them in our packet and all that,
Yeah.
and we don't know, so yeah, we'll just approve them the next time.
Yep, I'll do it next time.
Sounds good. Okay,
Okay.
so resolutions, we have a number of them tonight. We'll start with Birchview Glen, PLN 17-00008. For those of you recall, this is the property on next to Resta's gas station that was assumed by a different principal. So I'll move to approve that.
Have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Maher. Okay, Charles Brown
Yes.
is going off the resolution. Carl Hauck,
Yes.
here Rafik,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
and Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Then we have Canal Road Solar Partners, PLN 21-00017. And I'll go ahead and move to approve that as well. If I could get a second. Thanks,
A
Mayor.
second.
Wait, who's second? There's
Maher.
Maher.
Okay. Okay, Carl Hauck,
Yes.
Maher Rafik,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Sammy Siobhan. Sammy, I think you're on mute. Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini,
Yes.
Sammy Siobhan. All right, I'll just put,
Yeah, just
Abstain. Abstain.
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you, Sammy. Sorry, we couldn't hear you.
All right. What's next? We have Elizabeth Realty Partners, LLC, PLN 21-00001. And I'll move to approve that as well.
Second.
Okay, thank you,
Charles,
Charles.
take a second.
Carl Hauck, Maher Rafik,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Charles Brown,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
and Chairman Orsini.
Yes.
Okay.
And lastly, we have, and this was sent by Christine under separate cover, Orion 4 Elizabeth Logistics Center LLC, PLN 21-00013. And I'll move that forward.
Second.
Carl Hauck,
Yes.
Maher Rafik,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Charles Brown,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
and Chairman Orsini.
Yes. So the next item is discussion from the minor subcommittee. So this was, I'll give a brief synopsis, and Mark, if I miss anything, you can fill in the blanks. So this was a previously approved minor sub from 186 Churchill Avenue. It was a 3-lot subdivision, fully conforming, was approved by the minor subcommittee in December of 2020. but the applicants ran out of time to file. There were some comments by the minor subcommittee at the time that were actually addressed in the updated plans, and most notably that the rear portion of the site that's furthest away from Churchill, roughly about 30% of each of those 3 lots will remain undisturbed. So the woods in the back, really, and the actual buildings will be more toward the front of the lots. And so we'd already approved that. Nothing really changed. They just ran out of time. So they basically had to come back for a second approval. So the minor subcommittee met earlier tonight and discussed that application and made a motion to approve it. And that is, that's really the sum of it. And Mark, I don't know if you have anything to add.
The only thing I'll add is that there is no action needed on the part of the planning board or the bylaws. The subdivision committee has the authority to approve it, but they need to report that to the board, which the chairman just did.
Thanks, Mark. So that leads us to our single hearing tonight, JWH Real Estate Holding Corporation, PLN 21-0023. And give everybody a couple of minutes to get activated on board and get exhibits up.
Okay, Mark, it's just going to be Julia and Mr. Pratt that are going to be presenters at different times, obviously, but those are the only 2 that are going to be presenting.
Christine, I just noted that Councilman Ram has joined. And Ram, if you can hear us, just let us know. I see your videos come on, so.
I can see you and I can hear you and I can talk as well.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All 3 requirements are checked.
Looks like we have Ted Chase joining us as well. I'll add him right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I do see Ted. Okay.
Oh, just in time for our hearing. Excellent. We have a real quorum. We had a quorum before. We have just a bigger quorum.
I don't see Mustafa though. Okay.
I believe I've added everybody from the applicant side.
Okay. So I'll turn it over to the applicant to get started.
Good evening, Merrill Goncher from the firm of Sills, Cummins and Gross, representing the applicant JWH. I will point out, Christine is correct. Our witnesses who will be presenting testimony this evening are our engineer, Julia Algio, and our architect, Rick Pratt. However, we do have with us another representative of Collier's, that's Michelle Brehoff, who prepared the traffic study. While we were not proposing, we'll discuss that in a moment, to present affirmative testimony in addition to the report that's already part of the file. We will have her present with us. We can admit her or do that later. If the board has any questions about the report or about traffic in general. I'm not sure if a representative of our applicant, but he may also be on again if there are any questions with regard to the applicant, which is the owner of the property. With that said, the applicant is seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval for the construction of a proposed approximately 100,112 square foot expansion of an existing building that is a little over 200,000 square feet, comprised of light manufacturing and warehousing at 1100 Randolph Road, which is a 20 plus acre site which is identified as lot 1.01 in block 517.04 on the township tax map. The property is located in the business and industry zone. The existing building has been there for a number of decades. I believe it was approved in the 80s. The use is permitted, and as the witnesses will testify, the expansion has been designed to the township's zoning standards. You will note that there is outdoor storage existing at the site that was granted separate approval a number of years ago, and that will be preserved on the site. So with that, I will also indicate that we did serve and publish notice prior to one of the earlier meetings when we had thought we might be on it, but the matter was then carried because our consultants met with the board's consultants to go through some review letters early on and address questions and comments. And then we asked to be carried from an adjourned date. We have renoticed, we have resubmitted, although it's not clear we needed to, but in an excess of caution, we did renotice, republish, and we have submitted new proofs with regard to same. So unless the board has any questions of me, I'd like to call my first witness, Julia Algio of Colliers Engineering and Design.
Sounds good, Meryl. Go ahead and proceed.
All right, can we identify her and have her sworn, please?
Julia, this is Jim Clark, and the board attorney. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Julia, middle initial G, last name Algio, A-L-G-E-O. And my address is 1000 Waterview Drive, Hamilton, New Jersey.
Let's proceed, Meryl.
Thanks, Mr. Clarkin. Julia, can you please provide the board with your qualifications as an expert in engineering, your professional background, with whom you're associated, your position, and licenses that you hold, and the status of those licenses?
Certainly, yes. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed since 1990. I'm a senior principal at the firm of Colliers Engineering and Design, formerly Mazer Consulting. I've been with the firm for over 22 years, and I've been practicing in the field of civil engineering for over 36 years. And I've appeared before the Franklin Township Planning Board, most recently for the Elizabeth Realty Partners application, which I heard that you just spoke of earlier. And I've appeared hundreds of times before planning and zoning boards throughout New Jersey.
Julia, Meryl, yes, she's accepted.
Thank you for accepting Ms. Algio as an expert in the field of engineering. Julia, before you start your testimony, do you want to identify any exhibits that you'll be referring to, or do you want to do that a little later on? It's up to you.
Well, I have two exhibits that I'm going to be using. Both have been provided to the board. One of them is the 1100 Randolph Road existing conditions exhibit, dated March 2nd, 2022. And do you want to number that?
Yes, unless the board has identified any of the others or numbered those. I'm sorry, someone was going to speak.
Is it the same plan that was submitted with the application?
It's an exhibit that was submitted to the planning board, at the planning board office. So,
no, but I think it's not part of the original plan set. It's either rendered or it's a different.
It's rendered. It's a render.
No, it is not.
Fine,
it is not part of the original submission.
And was it prepared under your direction and control?
Yes, it was.
Let's mark it A1, please.
Thank you.
Okay, and then, thank you. And then the second exhibit is entitled 1100 Randolph Road Proposed Conditions, and that's dated March 2nd, 2022, prepared by Colliers Engineering and Design under my direction.
When we could call that A2.
A2.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you. And
Terrific.
I think what Julia was referring to is we did submit these to the board office at the end of last week, or the beginning of this week, in order that we could meet the requirement to get them in advance of the hearing, since we're still working on the virtual meeting protocol.
Sounds
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Julia, if you could, for the record, just to confirm what I've said, is please identify the property, where it is, surrounding streets, and then if you would begin by identifying what's currently on the site.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is to bring up the one second. Okay, no, that's okay, here we go. So I'm just going to switch this. Okay, so this is Exhibit A1, 1100 Randolph Road, existing conditions. So the subject property is outlined in yellow on this exhibit, and north is up. So the property is located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Randolph Road and Schoolhouse Road. The property is identified as Block 517.04, Lot 1.01. And the property is located in the BI Business and Industry Zoning District. The overall property, as you can see here, is 20.98 acres. And there is a tributary to the Randolph Brook located in the northwest corner of the site, which runs in a south to north direction. And there are wetlands, wetland buffers, riparian zones, floodway, and flood hazard areas associated with this tributary. A letter of interpretation and flood hazard area verification have been issued by the DEP. So the site development that you see that exists today was originally developed in the 80s. There are two driveways to access the site, one on Randolph Road and one on Schoolhouse Road. The entrance from Randolph Road is for passenger vehicles, and the entrance on Schoolhouse Road is the truck entrance. Both of these driveways are 30 feet wide, and you can see I'm circling around. You could fully circulate around the site using the internal paved driveways. At the northeast corner of the building, at the north-southwest corner of the site, that is the existing building. The building is approximately 202,165 square feet, and it's a two-story building being used for light manufacturing and warehouse space. The first floor is 195,200 square feet, and the second story is 6,965 square feet. Within the building, there's office space, light manufacturing, and warehouse space. Approximately 14,000 square feet of the existing building is office. Approximately 100,000 is light manufacturing, and approximately 88,000 is warehouse space. There are 81 existing parking spaces on the site. As you enter off of Randolph Road, there's 49 spaces, and as you continue along, there's another 32 spaces. The spaces are 9 by 18 with 30-foot access aisles, and they meet the township standard for size, and there are 3 handicap spaces currently existing on the site. As you come in off of the Schoolhouse Road intersection, or access driveway, that is, you lead into the truck court, and I guess the rear of the building, you say, is where the loading docks are, and there are 12 existing loading doors or dock doors. And then the paved area directly to the east of that, this large paved area that I'm encircling in here, is that outdoor storage area that Ms. Gonsher referred to, that the applicant had sought approvals back in 2014. Continuing counterclockwise to the north, there's this large paved area over here that's currently used for storage, trailer storage. And now, as you can see in the middle, there's this grassy area. And this large area is approximately 140,000 square feet. This area was filled and graded to accommodate what was originally planned to be the Phase 2 building addition that we are proposing at this time. The approval back in the 80s, or the plans, that is, back in the 80s, showed a Phase 2 building addition that was about 110,772 square feet, which was comprised of 5,332 square feet of office and 105,450 square feet of warehouse. Also currently existing on the site are 3 detention basins. There's an existing basin on the northwest side off Randolph Road. There's another basin, detention basin on this northerly area that I'm pointing to. And then there's another basin close to Schoolhouse Road. And as far as surrounding uses go, to the north and the east and the south, it's also, there's sites surrounded entirely by commercial industrial buildings. And then across Randolph Road, there is a commercial development and then a residential development behind that. So any questions on the existing conditions, and I can move on to our proposal.
So Julia, what we're going to do is we're going to go through, and Merrill, we're going to go through everybody's, all of your witnesses, all of your testimony, and then we'll open it up to the board for questions, and we'll open it up to the public. So you can just go straight through all of your.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I have nothing. You've covered my points for the existing. Now, if you could please describe what's proposed using the other A2.
okay, so what you see here is Exhibit A2. It's the 1100 Randolph Road proposed conditions that I will describe to you. So the applicant is proposing a warehouse addition of 100,112 square feet, which will be, connected to the existing building. We're also proposing 70 additional car parking spaces, 15 new loading docks, and 16 trailer spaces and stormwater management facilities. So regarding the use, the building will be a warehouse use, and warehouse and distribution facilities are specifically permitted in the business and industry zone. Regarding access, there will be no change to the existing access drives from Randolph Road and Schoolhouse Road, and the circulation through the site will remain as it currently exists, with passenger vehicles coming off of Randolph and trucks staying within the easterly side of the property. Okay, as far as the building goes, it will be 1 story, 100,112 square feet. It'll be single loaded, which with the loading on the south side of the building. The front of the building will be on the north side, with the office and the main entrance at the northeast corner of the building. The building will contain approximately 4,000 square feet of office and 96,112 square feet of warehouse. So this building addition is slightly less than what was originally planned back in the 80s, which was it's about 10,000 square feet less than what was originally planned. As I said, the loading area will be on the south side of the building. There'll be one drive-in ramp, and there'll be 15 dock doors proposed. At one of the dock doors will be the trash container, and refuse and recyclables removal will continue to be serviced by a privately contracted waste hauler. There's a loading ramp proposed on the east side of the building. So let me, I'll make this a little bit bigger. So you can see this area that I'm pointing to here is a concrete ramp, and this area that's jutting out that I'm circling is a covering where there would be a gantry crane. So what's happening here is a flatbed truck would come into the site and then would back up into this loading ramp, and materials would be lifted via an overhead gantry crane that is into the building or out of the building when a item is fabricated. There'll be 16 trailer parking spaces. There are 16 trailer parking spaces proposed along the easterly property line. The trailer spaces will be 12 feet wide by 55 feet long. Okay. And then regarding parking, there's a total of 70 new car parking spaces that are proposed along the westerly side and along the front of the building, and a few across from the front of the building. There'll be 4 new handicap spaces also proposed as part of that 70 total. The ordinance requires a total of 132 spaces with this addition and with the existing use, and we are proposing a total of 151 spaces with the design you see here. The new car parking spaces will be 9 by 18 with 30-foot drive aisles and two-way circulation. The new parking spaces will be constructed with porous pavement with storage beds. In addition, in accordance with the ordinance, the applicant is proposing a bike rack. I'm circling here at the northwest side of the new parking. And we are also proposing to install 6 make-ready spaces with charging infrastructure in accordance with the recent legislation. And one of those make-ready spaces will be at an ADA space, at least one. The existing outdoor storage area will remain as it currently exists. But the applicant is proposing an optional 8-foot chain link security fence to secure the storage area. And there'll be 2 gates proposed, one on the west side and also one at the storm drainage easement that runs through the site. As far as building setbacks and coverages go, the building setbacks well exceed the ordinance requirements, the zoning requirements for the business and industry zone. Building coverage proposed with this addition is 33%, where 50% maximum is allowed. And the overall maximum lot coverage proposed with this application is 57%, where 60% maximum is permitted. So from a bulk perspective, for the bulk requirements of the business and industry zone, the project is fully compliant. Now I'd like to move on to discuss the stormwater management. So runoff from the new parking and loading spaces will be collected, treated, and attenuated in several porous pavement systems that are proposed with the design. In total, there are 5 pervious paving systems proposed. And the pervious paving systems will have subsurface storage beds, and they'll provide water quality treatment and attenuation of the runoff. And as I said earlier, there's porous pavement proposed in the new parking areas. There's also going to be some porous concrete proposed on the easterly side of the trailer parking spaces, and porous concrete proposed in a portion of the loading area. A storm drainage collection system will be installed to convey the rooftop runoff and some of the attenuated runoff from the pervious pavement to the bioretention basin. And we are proposing a bioretention basin in the northeast corner of the site. The proposed basin and the porous pavement systems will discharge to the existing basin, which outfalls into the Randolph Brook tributary. And this design that I have described to you for the stormwater management system is in compliance with the stormwater rule, which became effective around this time last year, and meets the green infrastructure requirements. Now, regarding utilities, for sanitary sewer, there is an existing pump station on site that serves the existing building. With the proposed building addition, it will hook up to that pump station, and the system will continue to flow as it currently exists. As far as water goes, there is an 8-inch water loop that circulates around the site from Schoolhouse Road to Randolph Road. The water department has asked that water meter pits be installed. So there'll be one installed at Randolph Road and one installed at Schoolhouse Road. And the new building will be served by the existing water facility that is on the property currently. Also, I'd like to add that there are 5 existing fire hydrants on the site, and the Director of Fire Prevention has requested 2 additional hydrants be added in locations directed. So those will be added to the plan, as part of our compliance documents. And the rest of the final utility design will be coordinated with the MEP and will be part of the compliance documents as well. Moving along to landscaping, the landscape plan has been designed following the township's planting requirements and in accordance with the parking requirements of the ordinance. And the plan is fully compliant with those ordinance sections. The plan provides for a mixture of 3 deciduous trees, 59 evergreen trees, 3 flowering trees, and 35 shrubs. All of the deciduous shade trees and flowering ornamental trees are native species. The plant selections, okay, there's also some planting that's being put in, and I'm circling here, in response to DRCC requirements. And these plant selections in the preservation area along the stream corridor are native species suitable for streams, wetlands, and flood hazard areas. The tree replacement requirements of the township are satisfied, and 121 trees are required and 155 trees are provided in accordance with the ordinance. Regarding lighting, the site lighting has been designed to comply with township and industry norms for safety and basic security. New lighting fixtures are proposed throughout the site. All the fixtures are 4,000 K color temperature LED fixtures, and this is a white light, not yellow or orange. All fixtures and poles will have a natural aluminum finish. The mounting heights comply with the ordinance requirements, and the site pole and wall-mounted fixtures are by Lithonia Lighting and come with a nighttime friendly designation. This means that no light is emitted vertically above the fixture. That concludes my testimony and description of the proposal, Meryl.
Okay, thanks, Julie. The only thing I just want to make sure, I know as you were going through this, the circulation through the site, has that been reviewed for the ability of emergency vehicles to circulate through?
Yes, it has, and a fire truck circulation plan has been submitted to the town as part of the prior submission documents, and that should be on file with the board.
Okay. And have you also, I know that there was a question in the review letters. Have you also evaluated the site for the ability of the larger 18-wheelers to be able to also circulate safely through the site?
Yes, we have, and the circulation aisles and the truck courts are large enough for a WB67 to maneuver in and around the site into the loading docks, as well as the trailer spaces, and the truck circulation plan for the WB67 will be provided as part of the compliance documents.
Very good, thank you. And for the record, although, as I indicated, Michelle is here, but can you just confirm that as part of the overall submission, that a traffic impact study was prepared by Colliers and was submitted as part of this application?
Yes, it was.
All right. And for the board, we would simply ask, since every board has their own, I don't know if we have to identify, but there was, as part of the submission, there was an environmental assessment done along with the plan sets and a traffic impact study dated September 30, 2021, entitled 1100 Randolph Road, Block 517.04, Lot 1.01. And if they are not part of the record, we would ask that all the documents initially submitted to the board and the supplemental submissions made back in January be considered part of the record, unless you have another process for doing so.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I think that's fine. And
Terrific.
I can also assure you that the board members have gotten the environmental impact statement and the circulation element, the traffic plan.
Right.
So I don't think, unless there's questions that are specifically directed towards traffic, that we'll need Michelle to testify. But it's good to know that she's on call, so you can continue.
So Julia, in conclusion, is it your testimony that the application for the addition or expansion, however we want to characterize it, is compliant with all of the applicable township zoning and design standards? Except, let me ask one question, and this goes to comments. May I also ask, does the board go through the review letters after we conclude our direct, or should we be addressing them with each witness again? I don't know your procedure.
So you can address them as you just did, somewhat within the fire prevention report.
Right.
But generally, the way we work is you can go through the staff reports. We ask you not go through them point by point, but simply anything you'd like to bring to the board's attention, or anything that you can't comply with. So if in the engineer's report, for example, you comply with everything, you just state we can comply with everything. If there's points you can't comply with, certainly when you want to discuss those are the ones you can bring up. Other than that, you can just state that you're going to comply.
Okay, Julia, if you can refer to the report dated February 4 from CME from Robert Russo. And there are just a couple of items where he had requested some clarification on a couple of points, and I'm on page 2 of 6 for reference for the board.
Mhm.
There is a question with regard to ordinance section 112-33.6 capital G. This is a request for testimony for accommodation for pickup drop-off areas, for ride-hailing services, buses or shuttle services. Now this is, an industrial site, but as the project is designed, are there areas where such service, certainly drop-off and pickup service, could be accommodated safely accommodated based upon the design as presented?
Yes, there's ample spaces to accommodate pickup and drop off. As I said earlier, 151 spaces are provided, whereas only 132 are needed. So there's ample spaces for drop off and pickup use.
Okay. I think there was, and I trust that we will defer. I know you mentioned that we will defer with regard to the location of and the additional fire hydrants. We will comply. Is it also your testimony that the applicant will defer to fire prevention with regard to the need for any no parking, fire lanes, or striping in that regard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
The one thing that I think they've identified that a waiver may be required has to do with the installation of sidewalks. Can you address that? And that's item number 5 on that same page, 2 of 6 under B, general site improvements.
Yes, we are seeking a waiver from the installation of sidewalks. On the north side of the driveway, there are DEP regulated areas that would create difficulty for the sidewalk, for a sidewalk to be installed. And then regarding the remainder of the frontage, if this is in an industrial area and all along Schoolhouse Road and throughout this industrial area, there really is no sidewalk for any connectivity. So, on those bases, we would be requesting a waiver for the installation.
Okay. Now, having identified or discussed those items, are there any other items set forth in Mr. Russo's letter of February 4, 2022, that we are asking not to comply, or that we cannot or do not wish to comply with, or are we going to incorporate those comments in compliance if we are granted approval?
Yes, just 2 items to provide clarification on item 7 on page 5 of 6. Regarding the soils, the site is underlain by, weathered rock and bedrock and unsuitable for recharge, and therefore we would be providing documentation from our geotechnical engineer in that regard to the satisfaction of the township engineer or the planning board engineer, as well as the Delaware and Raritan Canal Commission. Also, item 16, in discussions with the board engineer, it was agreed that instead of an 18-foot wide access road to the basin, that a 12-foot wide access road would be sufficient. And then other than that, we're agreeable to all of the comments.
Okay, thank you. While we're going through this, I don't think that there are any items in Mr. Healy's letter. Mr. Healy's here, so I guess we could ask him other than the sidewalk, I guess, that we spoke about, I don't think there's any compliance issues, compliance with the standards. And we are providing the electric vehicle make ready,
Yes.
which had been called out. Okay. I'm just checking if there are any other. We have a December 16, 2021 letter from Fire Prevention, which I don't think, I know some of them we did receive updated. I don't believe that there is an updated review from Fire Prevention. You discussed the hydrants. Are there any other items in that letter that you need to discuss, or will be complying with those as well?
Yeah, item 1, the 2 hydrants we will discuss with the fire prevention
Yep.
director. Item 2, if a fire department connection is required, we'll provide one, but we'll have to coordinate with the MEP on that. Item 3 talks about an underground stormwater detention system, which is no longer proposed. We're proposing the bioretention basin. And item 4 is additional comments if they come up. So, we can address the letter.
Okay. And there was a comment in the January 4, 2022 Franklin Township Police Traffic Safety Bureau, which is no longer in there. That had to do with relocating the handicap parking spaces to those closest to the main entrance. And is that change reflected in the plans that are currently before the board?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And then the other letter, unless the board, there was a recent sewerage authority letter, but there was also a environmental commission letter of January 26, 2022. And that there are calculations, just to be clear, the calculation that you did for the new statute with regard to electric vehicle charging and the ordinance that was implemented by the state pursuant to that statute. The calculation is 6 parking spaces. Is that accurate?
That's correct. It's 4% of 151 spaces would be 6. Yes.
Okay. And that's what we're providing.
Yes.
And then there was a recommendation for installation of what they refer to as a rain garden. Have we incorporated these types of features, I think you had in your testimony, for the stormwater in accordance with the new DEP regulations?
Correct. And a rain garden and a bioretention basin are very similar. So I would say that we are compliant.
Okay. All right. So that would conclude our direct testimony with regard to engineering, subject, of course, to recall if there are any other questions or comments from the board or board consultants.
Thanks, Meryl. Did you say you also had Rick to testify?
Yes, we have our architect to describe the building and a couple of other items. And we are prepared to call him and have him sworn.
Okay. You can make that part kind of brief.
You got?
That would be great, and then we'll go from there. Thanks.
Mr. Pratt, would you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Let me put you where this camera is so I'm not looking sideways. Rick Pratt, 175 10th Street in Belford, New Jersey.
Okay.
Let's proceed.
And Rick, could you just provide the board briefly with licenses or registrations that you hold, and whether you have appeared previously before boards in this state and been accepted as an expert in the field of architecture?
Yeah. So I'm the owner of Pratt Design Studio, located at the address I just gave you. I have a degree in architecture from Drexel University, 1990. I've been practicing architecture for about 25 years, and I've appeared before too many boards in New Jersey to count. I know we have an application with Franklin with the same application that Julia spoke about, but I think I sent somebody else.
Well, I think that's fine. You're accepted, Rick, and it looks like you're actually actively in the lab as you speak.
Design. All right.
It's,
And thank you for accepting Mr. Pratt as an expert in the field of architecture. Rick, were you responsible for either designing or overseeing with your team the plans that were submitted to the board with regard to this application for expansion or addition?
yes.
Okay. And do you have a document that you'd like to refer to, or a sheet that you'd like to refer the board to, in terms of very briefly describing both what this new part of the building will look like and how it will relate to or coordinate with the existing building?
Yeah, we have plan and elevations that were submitted initially with the application, and then we also submitted them the other day.
Now, Rick, what you submitted the other day by way of exhibit, were those the same plans that were part of the initial submission? Or was there any addition, rendering or color up or something? Or we just want to know if we need to mark it as a separate exhibit or not?
Right, so we have, there's only one to mark as a separate exhibit, and that's
Okay.
cross-section.
Oh, all right, then you
And
want to
that'll
start.
be A3.
Okay. And is that the title of it? Does it say cross-section, and does it have a date?
It's site sections. The sheet is labeled SD3, and the date is 2/25/22.
Thank you. All right. Whatever you want to refer us to and put up, if you control that. And then the board will know what you're speaking to, and we can briefly go through it and wrap it up.
Okay. Hang on, my computer is telling me I can't share.
Mark, oh, okay, we're getting something now, maybe. No, we're not.
Yeah, he's presenter.
Can you try again, Rick? See if it works a second.
I think we just lost him, actually. I don't see his name anymore.
Rick?
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Okay.
He seems to be in the attendee list, but not in the participant list, so
okay.
maybe
Maybe
you
bring
need to
him
pull
back.
him over, yeah. I see that he's back now.
All right,
We lost you there.
try this again.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we can see it now.
All right, can you
Yes.
tell us what sheet we're looking at, and if this is, I assume this is one of the sheets that were in the initial submission?
Correct. This is sheet SD1, ground floor plan. And So as was stated before, it's 100,112 square foot building with dock doors along one side. This side here, the bottom left, is the connection to the existing building. There will be openings into the other building, although we haven't located them at this time. And then to the left is Randolph Road. To the top of the sheet is sort of what we're referring to as the front of the building. And then the office is in the upper right-hand corner. There are, there's a system of ramps from the handicap parking to come up the ramp and get up to a platform and go into the office level. And then there's a mechanical room. On the right-hand side here, and Julia described this, I want to make just one correction. This is more of a sidling up alongside of the building. There is no ramp, so a truck would just back into this slot, and then the deck of the truck would be level with the floor. So the gantry would be able to come out, as well as a forklift would be able to come out and load onto a flatbed of a truck.
Okay.
Right. And then the rest of that is, I think, understandable. And then there's elevations. This top south elevation is the elevation looking at that end where the gantry is. So there's hasn't been fully engineered, but there's a roof here. And then this is a large overhead door where the materials would come in and out and go on top of a truck. So the elevation of the truck bed would be level with the floor, which is about here. So it's about 3 feet below this top of this wall.
Can you tell us which sheet you're referring to, which again, I believe is part of the initial submission?
Right, sorry. I think it's SD2. SD2, and it's labeled elevations. And it was the initial original submission. It's dated 1/19/22.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have well, we sort of have the existing building modeled. This is the kind of the look of the existing building. It has these indentations that run horizontally around the building in various elevations. So we've kind of carried that look around so that the two buildings tie together. The intent is that the buildings they'll match, although this existing building, as was stated, was built some time ago. But the intent is that as best as possible, this building will be the same color and finish.
Okay.
And the corner, I just can give you, there's a 3D on this sheet. It gives you a little bit better understanding of what's going on. The handicap spaces are down here on this side.
Which is what you have to just identify which side by location, so the record will pick it up.
Yeah. So sorry.
You can just say to the right or the left as opposed to this, just so that someone
Okay.
looking at it will know when they hear the testimony.
Okay, so in the exterior perspective, which is a three-dimensional view of the corner, to the right, there's a set of stairs. This is where the handicap spots are. Understandably, you can't go up the stairs if you're handicapped, but that's where the stairs are. And then just to the left of that, there's a ramp that comes up and around. They both end up on a platform that goes into the building at the floor at the corner.
And is that the corner where the office is? Is that what this aligns with what you
Yes.
described? All right. And will the building be designed and this area all ADA compliant?
Yes.
Okay. Will there be an effort to coordinate? You've indicated that the buildings will not match because they're a number of years or decades apart, but they will be coordinated in terms of either material or design or color so that they are compatible with each other visually?
Yes, it'll be either precast concrete panels that are similar to what were there before, and they'll match as best as we can. The building is going to be sprinklered, so I think there was a question from the fire marshal about that. And I think the only other question was about the roof units. So
Correct.
I'm going to switch. This was the one that we just identified as an additional exhibit.
That would be A3.
Right. So there's in the upper right is a small scale view of the site. Our addition is this this white section here with the light blue area is the office, and then on the left here is Randolph Road. This hatched area is the existing building. So we cut a section through from the road all the way through the addition, cutting through the roof units, which are down here at the lower portion of the sheet. And this is site section number 1. To the left here is a little person standing at the edge of the roadway, and then their eyesight line, or their sight line from their eye to the front edge of the building shows that sight line would shoot over the top of any roof units that are placed on the roof. So those roof units would in essence be invisible or be screened by the face of the building.
Okay. I just want to double check. I don't believe that there were any other comments or questions that were within Rick's area of expertise, unless any of the board members or the consultants think differently. That would be our architectural testimony, of course, subject to recall if the board or any of your consultants have any questions for Mr. Pratt.
So thanks, Meryl, and thanks to Julie and Rick. So I guess in the interest of time, let's open it up to the board before we open it up to the public. So I'll entertain any board questions or comments.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, Bob. Go ahead.
One of the things I want to be clear about or have clarified, this is a corner building with Randolph and Schoolhouse Lane, correct? And I would like not to grant a waiver for a sidewalk on Schoolhouse Lane. I would like to see the sidewalk there. I think we started sidewalks at another approval further toward Elizabeth Avenue, and at some point it can be all sidewalk from that Randolph Road corner to Elizabeth Avenue. And actually there's a side that would make a sidewalk connection in the other direction toward Canal Walk and Summerfield toward the canal. So I would be pretty strongly in favor of the sidewalk on Randolph Road, unless there's something that I'm missing here that it couldn't be.
Schoolhouse, you meant?
Schoolhouse, the sidewalk on Schoolhouse, yes.
Yes, we did require one at another recent hearing. I think it was the corner of Schoolhouse and Belmont.
May we ask, if we were to put it in, there would still be gaps, if I'm not mistaken. Is there an alternative? I know, is there a sidewalk fund that could be contributed so that when there's an ability to make a full connection, so that people are not walking and then losing the sidewalk, having to walk in the street, and then until they reach the next completed portion. Is that an alternative for along Schoolhouse?
Chairman, I'm opposed to that because we haven't shown in the past our ability to go back and fill in those requests when needed. We have a prime opportunity right now to do it today, and we're planning for the future. So without sufficient reason to not do it, I'm in favor of what Bob stated. It should go in today. They
Yeah,
did once this is done.
I actually was going to make really the same comment as Bob. So one of the comments I was going to make, I could scratch off my list. But there is a desire, I think, and a need for sidewalks because you have the commercial portion of the development on the other side of Schoolhouse. And then we are trying to make a connection, as Bob referred to, down to the commercial area, all the way out to Elizabeth. And we have had the warehouse approval on Belmont. And so, Merrill, your question about doing that is when there are no sidewalks in the area, or it's impractical to do. And we can simply say, we'd rather have you contribute to a fund. In this case, we have a prime opportunity here with this development to actually, as Charles said, fully implement a connection there. And while there will be gaps, the warehouses that have been approved are going to fill those gaps, and then along the way, if any development comes along, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but this will definitely help because you can get across from Summerfield's commercial, and then you can proceed down Schoolhouse, and ultimately all the way to the other commercial areas at the intersection of Schoolhouse and Elizabeth. So I agree with Bob and Charles that on that side, not on Randolph's side, but on Schoolhouse side, sidewalk would be very much desired.
Okay, and I just want to confirm, if Julia, if you're still on, the impediment that would be a hardship for providing it, was that along the frontage on Randolph and doesn't affect the ability to make the installation on Schoolhouse? Julia, are you still?
Sorry, the impediment that I described was north of our driveway on Randolph Road. But looking along Schoolhouse Road, there are trees and utility poles which may make the installation of sidewalk along along Schoolhouse Road a little bit difficult.
There's nothing more beautiful than a meandering sidewalk.
And I kind of don't want to hear this either. For the long term of the township and the area, the sidewalk along Randolph Road seems to be, along Schoolhouse Lane, seems like it should be able to be put in with a minimum loss of trees. If we lose a couple of trees, we're also replanting them elsewhere on the site. We've heard these objections for years, and in some ways that's why we have areas in this town with all kinds of gaps and sidewalks. I can't see driving by there any real impediment to putting the sidewalk in there any more than there would be anywhere else where there are sidewalks. So I would agree with Charles. I'd be opposed, to putting this in the sidewalk fund. And I just don't buy the argument that there's any real detrimental effect to putting the sidewalk in.
Yeah, and I mean, if there are trees that are taken out, a few, you're over the tree requirement on site, and if it's actually in a township right of way, we actually have a tree fund, which you won't be contributing to, but that could also be used to replace those trees. But no, I agree with Bob. There's probably no real impediment. has to go around some utility poles, then we don't mind if it meanders. I think we have examples of that in town. It worked pretty well.
Then I guess we appreciate that whoever it is that would have to approve that would work with us in order to preserve as much of what's out there and not have to relocate and work around them. And we would appreciate that to make it easier to install it. And if that ends up meandering, then I guess so be it.
Yep, we are good with that. Okay, so we've got resolved. Any other board questions or comments?
Just one thing on the Environmental Commission memo, the suggestion of either a cool roof, which means it's painted with a reflective covering that reflects the heat of the sun rather than having it absorbed, or roof-mounted solar panels. Solar panels that can contribute to the electric needs of the building or even to the community solar program. Would you?
Yes, I apologize for skipping. I did see there was a recommendation, although I understand there is no requirement. Rick, if you're still able to respond, have we looked into either of those items that are mentioned in the January 26, 2022 memo from the Environmental Commission?
Yeah, the roof would be a white roof TPO, which I can't tell you what it stands for, but it's a membrane roof, and it's white. So that would be the reflective surface, and then there would be the building structure would be designed for roof panels to be added in the future.
All right, but we have not made a determination to provide the solar panels now, but is it your testimony that the structure of the building would accommodate that if a determination is made to move forward with that?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, but we will be having the, I guess what you're describing is that within the meaning of cool roof as used here for reflecting heat away from the building rather than a black tar type roof?
Right, yep.
Okay, so yes.
Sounds good. Anyone else? I have, if no one else does, I have just a couple of quick questions. You have 132 required parking spaces, 152 proposed. My only question is, do you need them all? And are you at 152 to be in excess of 20 of the? Because the more impervious we can save, the really the better. So that's just a question. If you need all 152, then and that's your testimony, then that's fine. But just asking the question.
Julia, I'll ask you if you can answer the question of why we provided more parking than the ordinance minimum requirement.
Yeah, we provided more than the minimum required to accommodate, various different, to look to the future in case there's any difference, changes in the, let's say, ratio of office and or manufacturing to the building. And also, I do want to point out that as part of our stormwater design and green infrastructure and DRCC compliance for low impact development, we are providing porous pavement with subsurface storage beds. So there really is a benefit in this case for the additional parking because it's aiding in the stormwater and water quality control on the site.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, it's not often we see applications with porous pavers put in or porous pavement and this type of environmental consideration put in from the get-go. It's something we generally have to ask for and seldom actually get. So appreciate that. Just
Mr. Chairman?
know that, yeah.
Michael?
Yeah.
What about the potential for land banking some of the parking spaces?
I was just coming to that too.
Thank you.
It's like you read my mind. To your point about, you know, needs for the future, I was going to ask if you were amenable to any banking of spaces where we'd give you the approval, but you don't construct them now.
Julia, based on what you've testified, I guess to the extent that the parking accommodates some of the stormwater, there's going to be construction that needs to be put in. Are there portions of the site that it would be logical not to provide all of the spaces? In terms of use, the
No,
you know,
I understand. If it were traditional pavement, I would say absolutely and definitively, but in this case, because the parking and the porous pavement are part of the stormwater system, I would need to, you know, I would need to look into it a little bit further if it would, you know, if it would be acceptable. Can we look at that as part of our compliance documents and land bank, land bank if we can? I just can't answer.
Yeah, no, I would say I would be okay with that because, you know, we could just put in the resolution that, you know, you'll look into it. I'm not gonna bludgeon you with it. I mean, given the fact that it's porous pavement and you're well under, you know, lot coverage, impervious coverage. So, you know, it's clear it was a design with environmental considerations in mind, which is very much appreciated. And I think you're seeing that in the questions from the board, not going down that avenue very much. But yeah, I mean, I think if you have an ability post this meeting to bank spaces, we would be amenable to that. Understand that there's probably infrastructure considerations to take into account with doing pervious pavers, the inspection ports for those pervious pavers, and the stormwater treatment that may not allow it. So given the other environmental mitigations you're doing, it's just a request, not a imperative. I guess I could put it that way. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, and we had this, I think, I don't know if we did this with Elizabeth Realty Partners or another application. And I don't think I need your traffic expert to answer this, but if you think you do, I'll leave it up to Merrill to figure that out. In terms of directing trucks to 287, which is where they should go, not through the rest of town, not down Elizabeth Avenue, not down New Brunswick Avenue, DeMott, or anything like that, but down Cottontail, down Schoolhouse, or down, Randolph, to 287, yeah, exactly. Can there be, I think one of the ways we addressed it at one of the last applications we heard was signage where you egress. So you have two entrances, they're full movement entrances that direct traffic. And I think we're also decided that we would try to get signage put up in general in the township, not just for this warehouse application, that directs truck traffic from some of your neighboring warehouses that have been approved over the last year or so in the direction that they should to get to 287. Just really a question more about signage and directing trucks to the right thing, which might be able to be answered by Julia. But I'll leave that up to you. I don't necessarily want to introduce a new witness if you can answer it.
Can I just ask for clarification? Is this what I would call sort of a wayfinding sign? Are you asking for sign on our lot at the driveway?
To direct truck traffic to the right place? Yes, if you can do that. We have had discussions in the township with putting them in general on Randolph to direct truck traffic as a truck route. Because we have had, incidents, of trucks going the wrong way. Lights certainly aren't timed for that. We've had a few unfortunate incidents of stoplights and signs being knocked over because of the width of tractor trailers that are just where they don't belong. And we really have no idea where they're coming from. It's not like we can track them, but to just, if you would go, I guess, down Randolph is where you'd want to go, out to Weston and then to Weston Canal, I should say, and out to 287. So on your property, like if you were going out the driveway, trucks make a right. And then, the township will hopefully have signs on Randolph that say truck route. And that's not going to be just for use from your use, but for any other surrounding use as well.
I think it's sounding, maybe she's taking this a little more complicated way than it needs to be. If you come out
I'm probably
your
stating
driveway
it that way.
onto Schoolhouse Lane, we just want you to put a sign, Route 287, with an arrow to the right. If you come out your driveway on Schoolhouse Lane, we just want you to put a little sign at the end of the driveway, 287 to the right. So that drivers, get programmed into making that turn and don't go left and get all involved with all the local traffic. It's not something magic or complicated. We've done this, a few times already.
Mr. Thomas, I just wanted to understand what the request was, that it almost sounded like they were asking us to work with the town for signs outside the site. That's the only reason I saw it.
Yeah, no, that's Bob explained it far, far better than I did, Marilyn. And thank you, Bob. It was really just that simple.
Julia, do you want to answer that? I know that it appears that should not be a problem.
Yes, that would be agreeable to do that.
Awesome. And that was it for me. So if there are no other board questions right now, let's go ahead and I'll make a motion to open it up to the public for comment on this application. And if I could have a second for that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the meeting is now open for public comments on this application only. And if you let us know, raise your hand or press *3. If you were raise your hand if you're in the WebEx. We'll bring you in.
So just to repeat the instructions real quick, you could, if you're on WebEx, you can go to the participants window. Within that window is the raised hand function. And as the chairman said, if you're calling in, *3. And I'm not seeing anybody raising their hand at this time for questions or comments.
Let me give it a few more seconds just in case anybody is temporarily trying to get to their button or mouse or whatever. Right, I don't see any either. I know at least 2 of the 4 non-meeting attendees are one is Jen, who's our board member, and one is the computer that Christine is using, and there's 4 other attendees. So I don't see any of them.
There's one person as well that is the stenographer for them. So I think that's Angela, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. And then Andrew is the owner and Michelle is I don't know that we let her in, so she may appear also as an attendee. We can account for 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I do not see anybody asking for comment. So with that, I'll move to close public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Public portion is closed, and Meryl, I'll turn it back to you for any summation you'd like to make.
In the interest of brevity, we would simply indicate that this is unusual in my years of practice, that other than the one waiver for a portion of a sidewalk now, since we will be providing it along Schoolhouse, this expansion or addition is a fully compliant and environmentally sensitive, which may seem like an oxymoron when dealing with an industrial site, but there's been a great deal of attention to providing, to designing with the sensitivity towards environmental impacts and minimizing or eliminating those to the extent possible. And we would ask that the board consider favorably our request for preliminary and final major site plan approval. And we thank you for your time, and the client has asked me to say thank you. They appreciate that suggestion for the signage on site, and we will implement that if the board grants us the approval that's sought this evening. So we thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Meryl. Thanks for a very nice presentation. So with that, I'll entertain a motion, if anyone would like to make one.
I'll move we approve the application with the additions that have come up, such as the signs leading to Route 287.
Okay, and let's just spell out in the resolution, Ted, if we could, the sidewalk on the schoolhouse frontage, the consideration but not requirement for banking any parking spaces. And I think those were the major things. So if that's okay with your motion.
I'll second it.
Councilman Embar, was somebody saying something?
No, I was saying go ahead and call the roll, which you're now doing.
I'm way ahead of you. Councilman
usual.
Embarrassing.
Yes.
Okay, Carl Hauk,
Yes.
Mahir Rafiq,
Yes.
Theodore Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnell,
Yes.
Charles Brown,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Sammy Shaban,
Yes.
and Chairman Orsini.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Meryl. Thanks to all your witnesses, and good luck with the project, and have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
For board members, I noticed that normally we put the general public comment up before we start the hearings, but now I'm at the very last minute, I now see it at the bottom. So to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity, I just want to quickly open the meeting for general planning comments, not related to the application we just heard. So if I could have a second for that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting is now open for anybody who wishes to make a general comment. Any issue to do with planning in general.
There's nobody there.
I don't see anyone coming. Okay. So with that, I'll close the meeting to the public.
Aye.
Oh,
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This will be so much easier when we're not virtual anymore. Hopefully.
Oh, thank you. Please
all right.
remember to bring your executive session. Pete Vignolio asked me to remove it from the agenda because he wanted to be the one to speak on it, only because he was the one that wrote the letters and whatever. So I'm going to place that. It was in your packet. It was marked executive section. Bring that to the 16th meeting when Mr. Vignolio is there, and he will address what's on there. You also had Macedonia Church documentation. I can't, Mark may be able to tell you more, but I think they're going to resubmit something. So keep your documentation for them just on the chance that they don't resubmit something. And if they do, I'll be giving you a new sheet, so you could just discard it. I don't think there's any other things that you all need to hold on to other than that executive session.
Yeah, and just so you know, at least I mentioned this to Christine, I did not have the application that was carried tonight to the 16th. I don't have those materials in my packet that I picked up for the meeting that was canceled. So if you
Yeah.
could check into getting us those.
Yeah, I'll have to look at yours. I know Ted did because he even told me that he was studying it. So is there anybody else online now that did not receive the documentation for the Harbor Group? Or was it in your packets?
I got 2 copies of some of it.
Oh, then maybe that's
Ted
where
got
yours
my
is.
copy. Ted special.
All right.
Ted special, and I'm not, I guess.
Mike, I'll figure out what you need and I'll put it in your bin or in your mailbox and you can just pick it up whenever.
I got 2
Okay.
copies of.
Sounds good. I think we've solved it. So anybody else, please let Christine know if they didn't get the Harbor Group that we might hear on the 16th. With that, make a motion to adjourn for the evening.